mainstream media outlets might be a little worried about losing the so-called Trump bump if Trump fails to get reelected. Now, this isn't something that they're shying away from. In fact, some of the ex-executives from CNN are being pretty honest about this. Digiday has a great piece about this story, and they write that the Trump moment, a boon for TV ratings, web traffic, video views, retweets, and for a sense of journalistic purpose, could be coming to a close at a perilous time in the media business. In place of Trump, the defining story of a media generation would likely be a much more controversial or conventional and comparatively boring situation. President Joe Biden. Okay, so Stephen from Digiday, I disagree with you. So for instance, during the Obama administration, there was plenty to report on. Unfortunately, independent journalists had to be the ones that would report on drone strikes, signature strikes, the fact that the Obama administration expanded on Bush era foreign policy. I mean, there was plenty of disgusting stuff going on. It's just that the mainstream media turned a blind eye to it, or tried to censor hosts like Cenk on MSNBC when he was critical of Obama back in 2010. And then they tried to shut him up with a giant $1 million contract, and Cenk decided to walk away. Still doesn't get enough credit for that, but I thought I would bring it up. That's what the mainstream media is all about. But here's what former CNN president Jonathan Klein had to say about the potential of Trump not winning re-election. What would go away is the bad guy in the story. There's no antagonist. So what are we tuning in for? Grandpa is a nice guy. Everybody might be relieved to not watch as much cable news anymore and go find a book to read, a garden to plant, or a socially distanced walk to take. One more quote from Jonathan Klein. What Trump gave journalistic outlets was an audience that felt the urgency. Certainly, if Trump loses, that urgency among 70% of the audience might dissipate a little bit, but you're still going to be in the midst of an economic calamity, this wrenching social debate over inequality, and have a disease that may be killing tens of thousands of people a week. But it doesn't matter, because if you just have optics of change in the White House, if you have like an old man, in the White House who isn't Donald Trump, then what? I mean, is there any need to focus on these issues? I mean, inequality will still be a problem, but why do we need to report on it? It's amazing.
Okay, so look, I know Jonathan Klein a little bit, and I think that this proves, at least for me, because you guys don't know him and you either take my word for it or not. What I always say, which is that it's not personal and they're not bad guys. It's just groupthink, okay? Now, having said that, and by the way, he's also right that is the mindset among news executives and news anchors. No question that's the mindset. So he's accurate about that. Okay, now having said that, there are two massive problems with what he said and the framing of the article overall by the writer, okay? So one is the assumption that, well, we all agree with Joe Biden and we would never criticize him, so it's gonna be boring. Okay, or hear me out, maybe you do criticize him when he does something wrong. I know that, again, the point of view in mainstream news is, well, how could Biden do anything wrong? He's like Obama. He's like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're angels. They're signature drone strikes, executing American citizens without due process. Boring. And we all agree that should happen, right? And so we're never gonna criticize Obama or Biden or Kamala Harris or any of those people. So he doesn't mean to admit that, but that is his mindset, and he's not wrong. That's a mindset of almost everyone in mainstream news. It's an accidental admission. Well, obviously we're on that side. And then the second part that is also damning is this is all a fable. This is all a story. This isn't news. It's a soap opera. And so we had a great bad guy. And was it One Life to Live? I'm so old. They had that one bad character, and then General Hospital had the Scorpios, and so right. And so everybody loved to tune in to see what Luke and Laura was gonna do with the Scorpios, etc. But like, I use it because it's a little soap opera. And in this case, Trump's a great villain, and then we got a good story. or hear me out, do the news.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, look, Jonathan Klein at least had the cojones to name himself for this report. There was one other former CNN executive who spoke to Digiday on the condition of anonymity and said the following: I don't think it was any more complicated than that. Trump was good for ratings, make no mistake, it's a symbiotic relationship. The dramatic rise and relevance of CNN, for better or worse, is tied to Donald Trump, the former executive said.
Yeah, so look, Jeff Zucker admitted this before, Les Moonves admitted, Jeff Zucker, current head of CNN, Les Moonves, former head of CBS, they said Donald Trump is good for ratings. And so, right or wrong, that is their belief, and that belief is self-fulfilling prophecy, because they want to fight him, but they do not want to fight Pelosi, Schumer, Obama, Biden, Harris, etc. So since they're like, those are our friends, those are people we agree with 100%, the establishment is awesome, the status quo is wonderful, and so what that your wages never went up under Obama or Bush, who we like both of them, who so what that 1 million Iraqis died, we like both of them. That's why Nicole Wallace now is celebrated on MSNBC, spokesperson for Bush and Cheney. All that death, destruction, who cares? They weren't in the club. We love the people in the club. We don't want to fight them, so there's no drama. Oh, golly gee, right? And the reality is, you're supposed to care about your job, and your job is supposed to be to objectively cover the news. So when we say we're progressives here on the Young Turks, that ironically makes us more objective, because we're being straight with you guys. Meanwhile, these guys, while they're still at these places, anonymously say, oh yeah, obviously we're just playing a story here. Just, we're the directors of a soap opera. We're not actually doing news. Oh, but we'll never admit that publicly. And we all hate anti-establishment people, and we love a status quo, but we'll never admit that publicly. We have a giant agenda, but we'll never admit that publicly. Can you believe the Young Turks admitted what their perspective is, and they were honest with their audience? Ugh. And that's also why, by the way, just sorry, Anna, just to finish the thought, why they get so surprised when from time to time we disagree with Bernie Sanders or AOC. They're like, wait, I don't get it. Because they think you're supposed to be on a side, right? No, our side is policy. And if we don't agree with Bernie or AOC, either on policy or on strategy, we have no problem calling it out. Because it isn't about personalities and it isn't about a soap opera. It's about actually being honest with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now that MSNBC is going to go back to avoiding any challenge of people in positions of power of the establishment, does that mean that they need to return their leather jackets and stop riding on their motorcycles? Sorry, I can't get over what you were told back in 2010.
So that's the speech that Phil Griffin, the head of MSNBC, gave me back in 2011, actually. And that outsiders are cool, they wear leather jackets and ride motorcycles, but Cenk, this is NBC, we're insiders. And so, man, that's the most brutally honest thing I have ever heard in my life. Now he won't say that publicly, and of course he denies it now, but he did say it, and that is how they think. And I mean, go ahead, find MSNBC criticizing Biden and Kamala Harris at all between now and election day. I challenge you. They will never do it.
And I have to share this tweet with you, Cenk. I just saw it. It's by Brian Schwartz from CNBC, and this is what he wrote. New Wall Street execs are cheering on the choice of Kamala Harris as Joe Biden's running mate. Signum Global told clients moments after the pick that they should rest easy on the idea of Biden sprinting too far left. They raved about her fundraising prowess.
Yeah, well, that's why I told you 3 years ago they were going to pick Kamala Harris, because they know something we don't know. She's ready to play ball. And so the news of today, it might seem disparate what Trump did and what Biden did, but it's actually the same thing. Trump said, I'll cut capital gains taxes. Now that affects like 13 people in the country. I'm obviously exaggerating, but not by that much. And only is for the rich. Why the hell would you do that when you're trying to win an election and win votes? No, because it's a sign to the donors. Keep giving me money. I'm going to cut your taxes. I'm going to give everything to the rich. Then Biden counters with, oh yeah, I'll pick Kamala Harris. And the bankers go, well played. Now we're interested, okay? So this is the sick, corrupt system that we have. And honestly, it drives establishment Republicans, Democrats, and the media crazy when we point it out and we're honest with you. So and I'll be honest about this, tyt.com/go. If you want that same pulp for the next 4 years, God help us, 8 years, where they cheerlead the status quo and lower wages and no help at all for the average American, you've got all of the rest of the media, okay? If you want us to call things out honestly, then you back us up. And then when they say, oh yeah, we'll pull your funding, sorry, you can't. I got it from tyt.com/go. I got it $3, $17, $100 at a time, and there ain't a goddamn thing you could do about it. And we owe only one thing, that is to be as honest as we could possibly be with our audience.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.